You would think that after 9 years that you'd have an ability, that you'd have an idea, that you'd be able to ID the Dallas Cowboys in their progression. Today I watched the New York Jets team, and I watched an owner today. I watched the team quit on their head coach. I went to the link tonight, Eagles, Cowboys. I expected the Cowboys to lay down. What I saw was a team that had great effort. What I saw was a team that actually came into this game tonight and actually showed great poise on the road. I believe that Dak Prescott in his last game, and I'm trying to recall the team that Dak Prescott played against in the last game, but it's escaping me. I know that he did not have a good game. Oh yeah, it was the Titans on Monday Night Football. Tonight was a team that ran the football. Tonight was a Dallas team that played together on defense with Leighton Vander Esch. It was a 2-minute drill that was absolutely beautiful by Dak Prescott. The sneak culminating a brilliant play. Dak Prescott took chances. He was calculated. He didn't make mistakes. He led. Ezekiel Elliott showed great heart. He even, on the sidelines, when Brett Maher missed a kick, Ezekiel Elliott was right there with him. Dallas today, you know, they had a couple of mishaps, a couple of bad calls, I would say, when they were gashing them with the run game and they decided to throw it too much. But I thought Cooper played fine. I thought Allen Hurns made some big plays. I thought Vander Esch was all over the field. Tonight was a huge win for the Dallas Cowboys in a back against the wall scenario. And for Jerry Jones and the Cowboys, it is very, very easy. You either make a run at this NFC East, which is still kind of obtainable. You make a run at the East, or you fire Jason Garrett at the end of the season. But tonight, you're definitely not firing Jason now. And what Jason and this team has to do, if I were talking to Jason Garrett, you need to open up the playbook. You need to throw deep to Amari Cooper. That double move that he had even late in the first half was a beautiful, beautiful attempt at a double move. You need to pick shots, and Dak needs to take shots, and he needs to throw into the second level. He had some great second-level throws tonight. Great. The offensive line, when Ezekiel Elliott is running it well, you need to keep pounding the rock in the middle of the field with Zeke. You need to go play action and be creative. You also need to take shots, back shoulder throws. You need to trust Dak Prescott. You need to get Dak thinking less, and Dak Prescott needs to be more decisive, get the ball out of his hands, but also not be afraid to make mistakes. That's what Greg Williams told Baker Mayfield today, and it was brilliant. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. See and let it go. If you're this Dallas Cowboys team, Jalen Smith is a ball player. Tyrone Crawford is a ball player. Tank Lawrence, DeMarcus Lawrence can play. Awuzie is getting better and better. Byron Jones is an established player. This defense, Jalen Smith, Sean Lee, if he ever could see the field, but Vander Esch is such a good player. Leighton Vander Esch is becoming one of my favorite players in the NFL. Born in Riggins, Idaho, to a town of 500 people. They couldn't even field 11 guys to play football. They played 8-on-8 football out there in Idaho. I know small-town Nebraskans that do it. I know small-town Midwesterners that play 8-on-8. But this Cowboys team, we've seen this story before. They rope you in. In the words of Cobb Pizzle with the New York Giants, they rope you in, they string you in, and you're hanging on, and you believe that the team's going to take a step, just like when Dallas beat Jacksonville, but then they let you down, and the inconsistencies kill you. You'll know at the end of the year if it's time for Jason to leave. You'll know at the end with Dak Prescott. For the Philadelphia Eagles, their problems are, one, big problem is injury. Two, the ego of their head coach right now, Doug Pederson. Frank Reich was very good at getting Doug Pederson in this offense to run the ball. Because last year, you had DeFilippo and Frank Reich, and I both think that they're great offensive minds, and Doug Pederson. And the point was, you had Jay Ajayi, so you'd run the ball with Blunt, you'd run it with Ajayi, but then when the defense would come up because you were gashing them running the ball, then Carson Wentz would throw a big ball over the top. The Eagles are a lot better when Carson Wentz only throws it 30 times. This RPO, BS, throwing the ball 44 times, as a Giants fan, I all encourage it because it reminds me of Ben McAdoo. It's a bad style to play football. When your run-pass ratio is 44-16, something is wrong with your offensive play calling. You need to be more 35-25. And when Carson Wentz throws it, it's not the defense isn't going, holy crap, is this going to be a big-time throw? Is this going to be a big-time completion on our heads? The defense is like, all right, he's probably just dumping it off. And the way to guard the Eagles is kind of like Atlanta does. They play cover 3, and that's what I'd orient against the Eagles, where I play a deep safety. I'd have my corner sag off, so only give the hitch route to Alshon Jeffrey, only give Golden Tate some hitch routes, and really have your linebackers in the middle of the field so that the Eagles can only throw screens and force the Eagles to run the football, which they won't do at all. They'll always elect to throw. So we'll have only 4 guys in the box, 6 guys in the box, and force the Eagles to run the ball, which they won't do at all. So they'll just give you screens, you clean up and make tackles in the open field like Dallas does. And it was a great game plan, once again, by Rod Marinelli tonight. I love a defense where you could force the team to only throw 3 yards. You play a strict cover 2. Georgia played a great defense on Missouri, where they play cover 2 high safeties, and you keep everything in front of you, and you just make tackles with 2 high safeties. And you force the offense to have to string together 10 plays. You force the offense to have to string together 13 plays. And Doug Pederson, it's either they're going hurry up. It's Doug Pederson does not take the simple route. Zach Ertz tonight, I think he had 14 catches. He could have had 25 catches because the middle of the field was wide open. You keep going to Ertz. You keep going to him, going to him, and then you run the ball. I mean, Josh Adams even had some really good runs, and the Eagles would never attack it. So Doug Pederson, maybe his ego's getting too high. He thinks he's a genius. He's outthinking himself right now and not just playing simple football. The Eagles are getting away from basic football, and Carson Wentz is thinking too much, and the offense is getting too complicated. And then you look at the injuries in the secondary. The pass rush doesn't have as much depth as it did last year. And when the pass rush is just not like becoming extremely awesome, you know, these linebackers are not even that great either. You barely see Nigel Bradham anymore. And the year, it's taken a toll on this defense of Jim Schwartz. And, you know, their offense, you know, their defense is on the field for most of the game. And when you're not running the ball, that defense isn't as fresh. I also think the motivation of the fans, but the motivation of the players is really not the same as it was last year with Malcolm Jenkins and everybody buying in and getting to the top. Because once you get to the top of the mountain, I mean, then there's nothing else to that mountain. That's it. Then you got to come up with motivation to get back to the top of the mountain again. Once you climb the mountain, once you win a Super Bowl championship, And as a Giants fan, I experienced it. When you win a championship and you go all the way to a Super Bowl and you see your team play in a Super Bowl and you go out to the middle of the country and watch your team win the world championship over the Patriots, which Giants and Eagles now have in common, everything pales in comparison the following year. And for me, I mean, my fandom's probably a little different than the Eagles because, you know, with Eli Manning and what they did the following years, just when your team loses, it wouldn't be a good feeling, but it wasn't a feeling of absolute despair. I wasn't just completely down and out. I wasn't overly frustrated. I emotionally wasn't as engaged. I wasn't as emotional in general. I wouldn't cry. I wouldn't go nuts over a victory because the team just won the championship. And now you're just going for dominance. So this whole underdog role, it completely didn't apply. Then when you looked at the 2011 season when the Giants won again, that was really fun. The motivation was all back. You wanted to see Eli win it again. And the team didn't really get to the playoffs for, I think, 2 years. And then they were going on 9-7. You had Victor Cruz, local kid that got undrafted. And he just burst onto the scene. One of the great stories out of UMass, undrafted, Pederson, New Jersey, playing for the New York Giants, his team, his favorite team. And he comes out there. And the Giants, when nobody's giving them a chance, their team just hits it at the right moment. They just get hot at the right time, and then they play teams like 15-1 juggernauts like Green Bay. Then they go to San Francisco and play juggernauts like Harbaugh. And they go on the road, and they're road warriors, man. Road warriors. And those were fun years when you're the underdog and you could slay the dragon. But the Eagles just slayed it. And now Doug Pederson's here. He's getting nippy with reporters. Reporters are still kind of being tough on Doug. But again, he's coasting. Just like the Seattle Seahawks coasted until they got to the playoffs. And then the Carolina Panthers would crush them in the first half. And, you know, the Seahawks, when they had that dynasty, they were coasters in the regular season. You could get at those guys in the regular season. That's why the real dynasty in football is the Green Bay, or not Green Bay, is New England. That's why they are the dynasty. But a little overview, a little psychology of the dynasty, of winning, of what it does to a fan, what it does to your team and your culture. Because I believe, listen to me, I believe that the culture, it's very psychologically difficult when you get to the top of the mountain to just work just as hard just to continue that success. You know, I think it's easier when you lose in the second round of the playoffs. You're like, damn, I think we're doing something great right now. I think that the Chicago Bears, this ride of their season, the ride that they're having is so much fun. They're just discovering each other. They're just getting to meet each other. Things are going extremely, extremely well. And they're all in. And it's a fantastic, fantastic relationship. For me, the Philadelphia Eagles are like, this is what I'd consider it like. You see a girl at a restaurant. You happen to go in there. Let me try to really get this analogy all tight. If you guys made it this far, I want you guys to be treated with an analogy. Whew. And I'm gonna have to dig deep at this hour for this analogy. The Eagles are like a team, right? You're like a guy at a bar, okay? Like a guy at a sports bar or a bar. You see this hot blonde chick that you're dying to get with, the Holy Grail. You end up having great friends around you help you out, okay? Really help you out, achieve your goal. Great wingmen help you. In DiFilippo, their names are John DiFilippo and their names are Frank Reich. You get the girl, you go and do your thing. You can fill in the blanks. I'm not going to I don't really feel like talking about the specific, you know, extracurriculars that you would do. And then you go out with that girl and it's absolutely perfect, okay? It's absolutely perfect for about 6 to 7, you know, months. Then something happens, your wingmen leave you, and, you know, then you break up. Then that girlfriend, then your motivation to get back and to try to get another girlfriend and to dig in, I mean, you just accomplished absolutely everything. So your game, you know your game is still very good. You know your rep is still good. You know you're still pretty damn cool to be able to do that, to be in that relationship. But at the same time, your motivation now to go into the following season and try to get a new girl, it doesn't apply. But the Chicago Bears, for example, they're having the most fun because they're just getting to know each other. The Chicago Bears, it's like when you're a guy and you meet a girl that you really have always really liked, and now you actually get to know her and you're taking her on dates, and now you're building that chemistry, and each time you're succeeding with getting to know her, your chemistry is getting a lot better, and you're formulating this possible relationship that can be incredible. That is the fun of the NFL. The Chicago Bears are the fun of the NFL. They are finding their girl, and they are getting to know their girl really well. There you go. Pop culture, weird-ass analogies, all and more on Rover Sports. It has been an interesting video and an interesting day. And I'm sure I'll have some more content coming right with you right now. Or maybe tomorrow. We'll see y'all. All right, take care.